Hey, real quick before we start this video, next Tuesday I'm hosting another Union Arena webcam event. It's going to be with JJK as well as Code Geass available to play with and also part of the prizing as well. So if you guys want more information or to sign up, check out the link in the description and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we're talking about the Code Geass set for the Union Arena card game. I'm really looking forward to this one. I really like the show, but also the mechanics that go into this game for this set I think is really cool as well. So if you guys want more Union Arena content too, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I really would appreciate it. And then also, if you guys want any of the deck lists we're looking at today, you can make sure to find them on my website, Eggman Events, which is linked in the description below as well. So I've got a couple of my own builds. I also have some from Cosmic, who also made another video, which I really appreciate. Make sure to check his out as well. He can probably agree with me. It's been a really busy month of card games for the games that we cover in general. And I really felt like I just blinked and we've got this new Union Arena set. So I haven't tested this as much as I want to. They will be updated as I do more testing in the future as well. But I think that these are some pretty good builds, and we're just going to jump on into it. We also have an updated tier list at the end if you guys want to see that too. But the three main decks I'm looking at are a kind of purple Lelouch with Colin kind of deck, kind of the extension of the starter deck that we didn't get but got introduced to our main set. We also have a green Lancelot build, and then also a red pizza deck, which I really like the pizza deck. Like, it's just a lot of mechanics that remind me of like a Dragon Ball Super kind of deck that I used to like playing. I don't think it's going to be super great, but we're going to go over those as well. There's also two other kind of builds, a purple for Holy Swords and also a red Ash for Academy that Cosmic made and put on his channel. The deck lists are here as well. I think the deck lists don't really change much, so I don't even want to kind of go over and make my own changes with them. So, but let's get started, and we're going to start with the purple deck for the Code Geass set. And this one's really cool and really thematic and also pretty flexible for how the deck works in the first place. A big kind of overarching theme for the Code Geass set in general, though, is the idea of what their raids look like. Kind of the regular unit is like the pilot for it, and then you raid into the mech, which means that, you know, your pilot goes into it. It also kind of reminds me of like Gundam, and since that's also a card game I've been looking at recently, but it's really kind of cool for how we do it. So first we have Gawain, and this one's also really flexible. So it's either Lelouch RC2 for the pilot, for the raid pilot for this one, so it's really easy to be able to raid in this one. When played, all characters in your opponent's front line lose 1000 BP until the end of the turn, so I think that's really strong too. And we also can kind of have a combo with this as well. So we generally look more on the Gurren Mark II, and this is the mech that that Colin is the pilot for. So we have kind of the star deck super rare, which again gets just put in the regular set. But raid with Colin, choose up to one of your opponent's characters with 3000 or less BP, and then sideline it, and then this gains impact 1 for the turn. So even if you don't sideline something, you do get the impact 1 with this. So you want to try to raid into this and attack with it every turn if you can, like if you can cycle it, which we do have some resources for that. And then obviously, like if we do go like Gawain into the Gurren Mark II, we can give something minus 1000, and then we can go and pop a 4000 or less originally, right? So that's kind of like the baseline for removal and kind of power level for this game. So being able to have like a 2-card combo to get 2 of these mechs out on the board is great. The only issue is that this is a 5 energy, so it's difficult a little bit to go 4 into 5. You generally would want to go 5 into 4, but you can still do that, and you can get that value from it. We also have the other Gurren Mark II. This is just a rare from the set. When played, if Lelouch is on your field, this character gains. Your opponent must block this character's attack if able and impact 1. So one thing that's a little bit of reverse synergy with kind of the raid mechanic is that Gawain is not Lelouch, so you do have to have Lelouch outside of Gawain for you to be able to have this when played for the turn. But again, just being able to get these impacts 1s with this are really great, and being able to, like, this gets like hard removal in a lot of ways too. So you really want to be able to have a Lelouch that's in the back line for us. So we do have 0, which technically is Lelouch. We also have our 2-drop here, being able to give something minus 1000 until the end of the turn. So this also works really well with our raid Gurren Mark II to get rid of a 4000. We have our 3-drop as well. Choose up to one character on your field. It gains can't be blocked by 2000 or less until the end of the turn. And so I kind of been jumping around like ratios too. If you want to like do like a 3 and 3 like this, or even like a 4 and 2, you can. The issue is that like we kind of have to balance which ones of these. I'm probably actually going to do a 3 and 3 if I'm being honest, but being able to use this effect to can't be blocked with 2,000 or less is really good, especially since you can use this effect. Let's say they have like a 3,000, we can play this to, give something minus 1,000, and then we can use this to make it difficult to block with the cards that they kind of would want to as well. So I think that's strong. And then we also do have the C2s. So this is just like our extra energy temporarily. But we also do have the C2 super rare. So when played, draw a card, and if you use a card with 2 AP cost this turn, you get to draw an additional card. So that is good. You do feel like it's a little bit restrictive, but if you use Power of Absolute Obedience, choose one character with 5,000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. If Lelouch is on your field, you get to choose one of your AP and switch it to active. So what this lets you do is that if you use this, it's technically a 2 AP card, and then you get the AP back, and then you can use C2 to draw 2 cards. So that's pretty strong and easy to kind of meet the synergy. But we do also have a couple other action point 2 cards. So we have Lelouch. This is from the star deck that we didn't get, but when played, choose up to one character in your opponent's front line. It loses 3,000 BP until the end of the turn. So I just felt like there are just so many times where we could get some additional like bonus like minusing that this could be great. Even from like an empty board, right? We can play this Lelouch. And then like a combination of this and then raiding with Gawain, we can get rid of a 4K, which is strong. And then it also is an action point too, so there's good. And then from the set itself, we have this one. So when played, your opponent places one card from their hand into their sideline. This character cannot be blocked with characters with 35 or more BP. So that kind of is an interesting kind of way. You can make this kind of unblockable too by using the other 3-drop Lelouch. So you can choose that, and then it can't be blocked with 2,000 or less and can't be blocked with 3,500 or more. So unless it's like at 2,500 or 3,000, this card is like unblockable, which is really interesting. And then when sideline, you get to draw 2 cards. So I think that's good in its own way too. So we do to get like a good amount of like draw and cycle, but we don't get like the typical, draw 1 and sideline 1 that I think purple usually gets in a lot of their sets. So last kind of thing that I'll mention is that with the C2, and you will see this in future things as well. So as far as I know, this is how I've been playing it. I'm like 99% sure. If it's wrong, please let me know, because I've been playing it incorrectly. But you can use this effect to gain the extra energy for the turn. And then since this is something that can raid into Gawain, you can raid on top of it. It becomes a new card. And then if it does, you don't have to lose it either. So there's some really kind of nice times where you can use this to get the extra energy to be able to get into Gawain or something else, and then you don't even lose the card because you get to raid on top of it, and it loses the permanent effect on it kind of drops off. So I think that's a nice little like boost for this deck, even though it's kind of cheesy. I think that comes up every once in a while too. So in general, I like this deck. I think it's really strong, and we do just do a lot of like these Gurren Mark II impact turns. So you just want to keep pumping them out as much as you can. So this is my build for the purple deck. And then next up, we do have the green deck. So this one I think is probably the strongest in this set right now. It is a little bit, I don't know, it's really interesting, honestly. I think this deck is like we have an 8 cost card, which is generically the strongest, like the most expensive we can be in this game, right? There are chances to have like, +3 energy generation per card on the back, but having 4 cards in your backline and all of them being +2 energy generation is asking for a lot, right? That's a really high ask for it, but we do get a really good card in for it. So it's a 5K, which is tough to deal with in this game in general. Damage 2, and then also, we can just play this out for 8, which is still just hard to ask for without raid, but if you do, it is nice to be able to get a 5K that you can kind of just sit on the front line. But also impact 1, and one play choose it to one character with 5,000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. So it's just a powerhouse. This is a really strong card. Has to be if it has an 8 energy cost, but man, it is you feel good when it's on the board in a lot of ways. So the way to do this, and the way that I've been playing a little bit, I think there are some ways to go about it, but kind of the one that I've been using a little bit more is the Special Corps head trailer, or sorry, that one. This one's a little bit cheesy, but activate main, place 1 card from your hand to your sideline. Once returned, this gains +2 energy generation until the end of the turn. So that means that this is generating 3, which means that you can use that to go into your pieces a little bit easier. And it means you're like a little bit more flexible in being able to go into your 8 costs essentially. So I think that is good. for helping this deck. This is also a really searchable card for it. You don't have to run this if you don't want to, but I like it for just the additional energy generation, because I don't know, I just had a lot of games of like Karapika, which I think this and Karapika are pretty similar in a lot of ways, but this one, you really do need that extra energy generation a lot of the time. So I know it's temporary, I know you have to like discard a card every time you want to go into another 8 cost with this out here, but I do think that's good enough for helping us with our consistency as well. So to help us also get there, we do have kind of 2 searchers. We have Lloyd, which when played, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 KFM or KGF affinity card or a dispatch trailer. Or sorry, there's a translation that I'm working on my website, but it is a special corpse head trailer, so you get to find that one. From them, add it to your hand, then place the rest. If you place one into your hand, you place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. But this being able to find essentially 12 different targets in our deck, and they're all specifically for our kind of end game is really great. We don't find a Suzaku, which kind of feels bad, but I think we have enough of those since we're running 12 that it does help us out. And then also we have unit maintenance. This is kind of the same thing on on an event card instead of on a unit, but we get to look top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 character special corpse head trailer card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards on both on the bottom of your deck, and then if you add it up in a KF or KMF or KGF affinity, you get to choose up to 1 of your AP cards and switch actions. So it's like a free search from this, and then you don't even have to like put 1 card to your trash, so you don't get the unit either, but that is helpful if you need to find something. So I like playing a 2-and-2 split. If you like only playing Lloyd, or if you like unit maintenance more, that's fine, but I do think that helps the consistency a little bit. And then we also have a lot of ways for double energy. So we've got the V2, we've got the Cecile, we've got also our color trigger, which this is really nice for us. Being able to draw a card and also have double energy, I think is really, really good. And then we also have our 4-drop super rare of Suzaku. So this being able to be step if we need it, so we can put it out early if we need to, or if we need to push it up to be able to play like the dispatch trailer to be able to get that extra energy. There's just like a lot of good flexibility with it too. And then lastly, we have like the 6-drop version of Lancelot, which is still really great. It has damage too. And then with Raid, this character gains 1000 BP until the start of your next turn. So it's a 5000 that can be defensive. And then when sidelined, return the bottom card of this Raid character from your hand. So, which I think is really fun from like a theme sense. Essentially, we can't, like, he has the curse of having to live. So I think that's really cool that they incorporated that into the card. So also, we're only playing 3 of the final trigger. This isn't a mistake. I find like we just don't have as much things to do sometimes, so I don't feel like we need to have 4 copies of it, and I was trying to find some room for some additional pieces. We also have Varus, which is our special trigger. It's just a pretty easy 3000, and if we have Suzaku or a card with Lancelot in its card name, which is nice that they say that, because you know, this is technically Suzaku, right? So I appreciate they did that. So you just get a lot of removal with that as well. So only other cards is that we do have the soldiers here. This is just to help us get to our 0 drops, and it's like kind of good on defense. The draw trigger actually comes up a bit, so I do appreciate that. And then just the rest of the deck here. So I think this is kind of nice for what the deck's looking like. It's again like a very tall tower deck, but if you get these out, like, these are again such monsters to deal with. Some decks really can't efficiently get out of them, and damage 2 and impact 1, all this stuff is just very, very strong. So again, you have to get to the 8 energy generation, which is not always easy, but if you do get reward for it. And here is the green deck here. And then to wrap it up, we've got the red deck, and man, this is my favorite deck from this. I know it's probably the worst one that we can make from it. All right, I'm not going to say that this is, tier 1 pizza deck or anything like this, but I truly appreciate this just existing in this card game in the first place. So I played a lot of a card game called Dragon Ball Super, which is now called Dragon Ball Super Masters, but the kind of idea for one of their decks is a wish leader for the game, where you're trying to get 7 Dragon Balls into your trash, and if you do, you get rewarded for it. So this is kind of in the same vein. This also is a little bit like the blue specified slot from Hunter x Hunter, and it kind of revolves around these pizza cards. So there's 2 pizza cards in this deck, it is the delivery pizza, 1 required energy and 1 action point. Draw a card, then place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. Choose up to 1 of your AP cards and switch it to active. So being able to get that quick cycle, super good, and it lets you just get this into your sideline really easy. And we also have Giant Pizza, which is less good, but it is still probably strong. It does have the draw trigger, but also choose 1 character in your field. It gains 1000 BP until the end of your turn. Then choose up to 1 of your AP cards and switch to active. So being able to just get that bonus is nice. The fact that you can put it into your trash for free is what you, or your sideline for free, is what you really care about, and that's kind of the idea for it. So and the reward for doing this is the C2, where this character gains all abilities listed below if you have the required number of pizza affinity cards in your sideline. So if you have 2 or more, you get to play this active, so you can attack with it the turn it's played. 4 or more, you get impact 1, so that just helps you out a lot too. And then 6 or more, during your turn, this gains 1000 BP and double attack. So you get to do double impact 5000, which just almost guarantees 2 damage in most situations in the game, which is really strong. So it is an action too, so that is a little bit strong, expensive, but being able to play this out, and again, guaranteed 2 damage in most situations is incredibly strong in this game. So I think that's something worth mentioning for it. So kind of help get you there. A couple pieces. We do have the C2, which is a draw 1 and sideline 1, which is really great. We also do have the Shirley. So activate main, switch to resting, draw a card, then place 1 to your sideline 2. So being able to get that cycle is very, very good. And then we also have the additions of like the Shirley. I do like this card. Activate main, switch to resting, the same thing. But also, when played, you get to add up to 1 red event card from your sideline to your hand, which can be anything, any event card. So you can get a final trigger. You can get your special trigger. So if you this one's so easy to deal with, right? So choose 1 character with 2000 or less BP in your opponent's front line and sideline it. If you have 3 or more event cards in your sideline, it's 5000 or less BP. It's very easy to get this to just be a 5000 every time. And then you can just add it back to your hand with Shirley if you need to get rid of something, which I think is really strong. I really wanted to bump this up to 3 copies. I didn't find a way to do that, but it is very strong in that way. And then we also have the Ganymede. This is not only like just a good double energy that we sometimes just play in our backline, but we can raid into anything on the board with Ashford Academy, which is literally every card in this deck. You can raid this on top of anything, right? Shirley has it, C2 has it, Lelouch has it. Like all of these cards, we can just put inside Ganymede, and then we can use its effect to search for more pizza cards and try to find them from there. So I think that's worth it. And also being a double energy, so we can get to our 5-cost Lelouch. So one player chooses up to 1 character with 2000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it. If you have 4 or more event cards in your sideline, it's 4000 BP or less instead. So which is, again, incredibly easy to do in this deck. You can just use this to get rid of these. I also kind of wanted to bump this up to 4 copies, but I just didn't really find the best way to do that. So maybe if you want to take like 1 Shirley out and something else, you can maybe go into and then put like another one of these, You can, I don't know. I think there's like ways to like micro change the ratios for this, but I really truly like the gameplay for this one, even though it can be a little bit clunky a little bit times. And if you get 6 or more of your pizzas into your sideline, this card just feels so strong in so many situations. So I think the last thing is that like if you want like 7 copies of this, you can, but I feel just bad not playing 8 copies of the pizza affinity cards. So there it is. So I really like this deck. I know I respect the actual power level of it as well, but I really am happy that this exists in the game too. So those are kind of my favorite decks from the set, and let's go to the quick tier list breakdown. All right, and here is my tier list for the current meta, including the Code Geass set. And again, these tier lists are a little bit tricky to make because a lot of deck builds are pretty fluid and hard to kind of track down like what's the actual identifier for each deck, since there's not like an overarching leader for a deck, and it's more of just like an IP color combination in that way. So these are representing the best decks for every color combination and IP for the IP that exists, not necessarily the deck that's the one representing it, but I do want to kind of mention that as well. So for this one, this is kind of the tier list I had for the JJK one. The only difference I think I made was I moved Toto up from tier 2 to tier 1.5. I think I underestimated this one a little bit, so we bumped it up respectively. But generally speaking, all of these decks I feel are very playable playable in the current format of the Union Arena card game. So I will say that this one is probably a little bit high for the pizza archetype in general, and more of the red Ashford kind of like rush deck that we didn't really talk about, but you can check that out on the website too. But I just don't like that deck as much, but I do think it's viable. If I'm talking about just the pizza archetype, it's probably just tier 2 in general. But if we're talking about like red in general, it's probably like a 1.5. So, but otherwise, I think the green and purple decks are incredibly playable right now. They have a lot of flexibility in their gameplay styles, but also just like a lot of great removal and strong board presence too at the same time. So I think that Kurapika is probably still better as like a green tower deck than this one, but it's just pretty close, and this does have the better late game in those situations. Purple is just always going to be, I guess, a viable color in this card game, right? I know like even tier 2 is like the Hunter version of it, but it's been generically just very strong in this game in general, which is really cool to see. Toto needs to get back down there though, but in general, I don't think you're going to be disappointed with any deck that you try to build from this one. It's an incredibly playable set, and I think it's just very strong as well. So that's going to be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, if you guys are interested in playing some of this card game, I am doing my own tournament next Tuesday, so make sure to check that out, linked in the description. And that's going to be it for this one. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it. Damn it.